Hey everybody, Doug here from 2 Plus Tough. Let me just move my screens all around. I got about 30 windows open right now for music and everything. Anyway, we are just going to be hanging out and building some Horus Heresy today. I could not be more excited. And we're going to have a good time. I actually did some really cool progress on my Contemptor, along with a fun story about how I absolutely botched it. So let me just pop my chat out so I can see it a little easier. Awesome. Okay. So in case you were curious, we got a cool little lo-fi mix going today in the background. And if you want to check it out, I do actually collect music on Spotify for in the background of when I'm building and painting because it helps me achieve a more meditative state. So that's what I'm all about. If we go to the downward cam, my friends, you will see what I like to call an infinite mess. I am going to be hanging out and chatting. I just need to kind of reset a little bit, and then we'll begin the actual building, because this is a monumental mess right now. While we are introducing the show and getting ourselves all caught up, tell me, what are you working on? Get this garbage out of the way. Got my whippet sticks, of course. You got to when you have a heresy kit. Somewhere around here are the templates and stuff too. And then I will show off my dread, which I think, it's not the best magnetization job I've ever done. Far from it, but I think it came together, so I'm pretty happy about it. W Sword, what's up, buddy? I hope that's how you say that username. I don't think I've ever seen it before. Let's see. Listening while at work today, that's awesome. I hope your workday is going well. I'm just glad I was able to actually stream. So in case you didn't catch the last one, COVID officially reached the Griggs household after years of running. And sorry, I know I'm not talking towards my mic. I'm just trying to get stuff out of the way. Finally reached the Griggs household, and there was much lamenting, but we're doing okay. I was worried I was going to lose my voice. And that actually didn't end up happening, so I'll take it. Thanks, JC. Okay, get these things out of the way. My little bookmarks. Also, just for the record, these things, Games Workshop, start making your own version of them. Bookmarks and tabs and stuff like that, so we can actually find crap in our battle tomes. Okay. So, here I have my epic pile of plastic I'm still trying to work through from the Horus Heresy box. But I wanted to take a moment to show off a few things. One, here's the heroes we built last time. I like them quite a bit. Definitely the axe guy more. I'm a chaos guy. He's top knot and an axe. There's nothing more chaos about it. And then here's my Contemptor, and I went ahead and dual magnetized his arm, so each weapon arm comes off, but also this little bit here in the shoulder socket, so every weapon can turn left and right and go up and down. Now, a few things I did wrong that I will warn you about. The instruction booklet right here, when it starts telling you how to build a Contemptor dread, it has a whole bunch of options for like what kind of gun do you want to put in its hand, and if you can see, it's hollow. You can see straight through it. And I did not even realize this as I was building it. It's too late to go now, but I was like, oh, I don't want a special option in his hand. That's fine, I'll ignore it. Not thinking that part also plugs up the back of the arm at all. So it's fine. I'll get some green stuff. I'll cork it up, but I just thought that was funny. All the other weapons and stuff are all magnetized, so they can swap out. And all in all, I think he came together fairly well. It took quite a while to do that. It's one of those ones I knew I had to do off camera because there'd be too much pressure and or moving parts to do it on camera. Natatar, I just got the Idenith Vanguard box. Can't wait to get rolling on it. Nice. That's awesome. I really need to redo my Start Collecting series, but with the Vanguard boxes I think I did the Maggotkin one. Honestly, they kind of blur because it's just the same general things put into a new box. So My brain tends to skip a bit. I'm just getting the last little bits off the sprue here in case I want to do any conversions later on. Then I think we're going to jump into building some Marines. What legion am I painting them, Freddy? I am going with Sons of Horus. I don't know how much Horus Heresy I'll actually be able to get in. And so I wanted to have a legion that has Forge World models for both a loyalist and a traitor. And so my original plans of word bearers kind of fell by the side at that point. But, oh wait, is this like... Is this little bit here the back of his arm? I don't know what that is. There's a little piece that looks like it might work for the exact problem that I have. Nope. Nope, not that. That's okay. I still like him. I'll be honest, I don't particularly care for the Contemptor Dread. Like, just the base one. I love all of the Legion-specific ones. But if I'm honest, I prefer the little fire hydrant guy from 40k. Something about it makes it look more like a giant sarcophagus machine. Whereas the Contemptor Dread feels like just a giant robot soldier. Which, you know, they're kind of the same thing, but I like the narrative that there's a dead guy inside. And I just feel like the classic dreadnought represents like a carcass strapped to an old IBM computer more. Donald Kelly, how's work on the Atmos going? It's actually not. I have to do a video announcement about it, but I've actually largely moved away from that project because the other two guys on the team really wanted to take it in a different direction. They wanted to lean more into an online community rather than having actual physical play, because shipping and manufacturing is mercilessly terrible right now globally. So getting a new game produced kind of sucks. And so they wanted to go to more of a digital side of things and just play on TTS and build the community there. And I was like, guys, this isn't what I signed up for. They agreed. And I largely have stepped away. I still help out when I can and try to contribute conversation-wise, but unfortunately, it was one of those things, like, we all kind of had the same agreement of the game changed drastically from what we initially visioned, and certainly when I came on board. And it's like, at the end of the day, they're going to be happy with it. Me? Nah, I wouldn't be happy with it, so I opted out. Okay, let's see what we got here. Freddy, have you got the box early? Oh, Games Workshop sent it to me. They were very, very kind in that regard, and so I am so excited to get jumping into it. This tank looks absolutely intimidating. Won't lie. Oh, I didn't even see that it actually came with rules back here for these boys. Cataphractii Terminator Squad. That guy you know. Hey, thank you so much, buddy, for the little reminder. Thank you for being a member here on YouTube. Hey, if you have a question, that guy you know, for a topic you want to chat about, go ahead and throw it out there. Freddy says, nice, I'm doing Iron Hands. Nice. Iron Hands seem very popular lately. Let's see. What kind of unit do I want to make for my Cataphractii Terminator Squad? Obviously, I need to have a sergeant. War gear. They all come with a combi bolter, a power fist, a power sword. Okay, the sergeant can't have a power fist? Weird. I'm making sure there's no specific weapon loadouts that I'm missing that I would want. Real tough. One Cataphractii Terminator in the unit may exchange his combi bolter for a heavy flamer. I do like flamers. Power fist for a chain fist. Is there actually a chain fist on here? Oh, yeah. That's so cool. Okay, I dig the savagery of a chain fist. I'm really here for it. Does it cost extra? Yes, it does. Both his power fist and combi bolter for twin lightning claws. May exchange his power sword for a chain fist. Weird. May take a grenade harness. Cool. Okay, let's think. Let's have a good long think about these boys. So I have a sum total of what? 10? 4, 5. Yeah, has to be 10. Okay. If you are a Horus Heresy player and or fan, how would you build out your Terminators? I'm going to go rule of cool with mine. I'm trying to think. The 5 of them need to have a job, right? 2 units of 5, they need to have a job. I think I'm going to have one focus on... I mean, Flamer is really the only heavy weapon option, right? The combi bolter is kind of their standard thing. I'm going to have one that's just combi bolters and power fist, just a bog standard unit. And then the other one, maybe go melee. I like the claws. The long spiky fingers on the claws are my fave. Let's see. Question from that guy you know. In terms of lore developments, what are things you'd like to see AOS do that other intellectual properties like fantasy or 40k do? Can you explain what you mean by lore developments? I'm a little bit lost on that one. Because I don't know of any lore developments. I don't follow 40k really at all, and I don't know a dang thing about fantasy battles. So I don't know what that means. Apologies. Okay, Cataphractii, Terminator squad, okay. Cool. All the legs, all the torsos, the exact same. Let's just start there. We'll do some boring busy work while we're just chilling. Oh, but they do have, I should be careful of that, they do have matching legs. So, like, it's not a 1-for-1. Because I've definitely messed that up on models before. You just kind of jump into it thinking, yeah, I'll take this leg, I'll put it with this arm, yeah, whatever, and then all of a sudden your guy looks like super derpified at the end. As for me, I'm having a pretty dang good day. It is a sweltering time here in Iowa at the moment. Temperature's going up to 93 degrees Fahrenheit, and gotta say, don't love it. We have AC, but it's like a really old place, so like it doesn't really work. You don't feel it until like noon or something like that, and you're like, it's just, you feel like a frog in a pot of boiling water. Okay, so that was 21. Things such as maps, daily. Oh, okay. Sorry, when you said developments, I was like, I don't know. I feel like they always kind of push the story forward with all of them. You just mean like what kind of? If I could take a magnifying glass to the world, what would I want? What would I want? Okay, if I could do anything, there's going to be a whole bunch of videos of what would I do, because I put a question up on Twitter that was like, ask me anything, on my Discord as well. Stuff that matters to me. I'm going to go, I would love to see Warcry basically get a refresh and have it now be set in Har Huron, as if the streets, everything's just falling apart now that Marathi's in charge, that she can't keep a handle on the city, basically. Or that she's not there, right? She's out going doing her own thing, and she's like, well, if my girls back at home, meaning the Daughters of Cain, can't keep it together, then they don't deserve the city. And so basically put it in their court. And the reason I want to do that is because I would love for Harkeuron to become the next Mordheim. In not so much in the idea of like it's a ruined city, but that there are roving gangs moving around, all trying with their own intentions to do stuff. Some will be breaking into, you know, businesses. Some will be trying to loot, and some will be there to like literally sow chaos, that kind of thing. I think that would be really, really cool. Yeah, that would be my first want, because then they could take the time to like map out the city and give us at least a vague description of each of its districts and what life is like there. I think that could be a great way to integrate a product line with a story setup. Beyond that, one of the things I think they really, really need to do is, in an interesting way, go more into the meditation and disciplines of the Lumineth. Because right now the book is like, here's the history of the Lumineth, here's what brought them here, and go enjoy all your flavors of elves. But it's like, no, like, someone who commits themselves to the path of the mountain will have a fundamentally different outlook than someone who dedicates themselves to the path of the wind. It's like, show me what those look like. If you're gonna make me buy a new book every single time you release a new sub-faction within that army, show me what they're like. How is their lifetime of discipline and, you know, eons of discipline, because they're elves, they like are functionally immortal to an extent. Like, how is that different path to path? That's what I want to see. We have the Saint Temps here. Oh yes. Yep, my pup is hiding under my wife's desk to keep cool. Oh, poor guy. I have Phoenix Spears special weapon kit for the Emperor's Children, so I will have a melee focused squad like you, but the Sergeant will have a spear and a standard squad. Nice. That's awesome. I already know that I want to lean into Terminators, so I'm more than happy to just kind of jump in and make whatever with these guys. And then I'll figure out a use for them later. Because, you know, it's been in my brain ever since I got hooked on Warhammer as a wee lad playing Dawn of War. When you first unlock access to Terminators and they're just these like plotting death machines, you could just throw that unit into dang near anything and it would just bounce off. Like whatever you threw them at would bounce off of the Terminators. It'll be great. It'll be added benefit from more lore and actually, exactly. Yeah. There's lots of benefits. I like the format of all these little various gangs and things like that across Warcry. I just always questioned the decision of making the 8 points the place for it, because the harder the destination to reach, meaning in this case the 8 points is a notoriously difficult place to get into, you have to work so much harder to come up with reasons as to why factions are there, how they got there. Or it's like, we already have a place that's in utter and complete turmoil. Let's just go there. It's easily accessible. It's by the water. It's like, if you're having trouble theming your army of how they got to Harkeuron, they swam. They took a boat. Just something very, very basic. It's not hard. That's like, it just removes that one leap of storytelling. So now whoever they wanted can ferry their way in, kind of a deal. I mean, yeah, and there's a forest on the other side that they're constantly trying to burn down because it overgrows them. So, yeah, I mean, there's ample opportunity for people to get into the city. That would be my supreme desire. Because at that point it basically becomes like Necromunda Light. Which I guess, I guess it's already kind of the idea they're going for technically, but I don't know. I have a creeping suspicion we'll be seeing Azir be the next story hotspot. I would be cool with that. So I asked people on Twitter, ask me anything and I'll give an honest opinion. And someone asked a really great question, is if I could control the next story arc for AOS, where would I put it? So right now we're in the era of the Beast. Before that it was Soul Wars. Like, what is the grand narrative? There can be any kind of stories within there. But I figure, so first it was Chaos with the Realm Gate Wars, then it was Death, and now it is Destruction. And I really want it to go back to Chaos focus. Like, really, really bad. And so what I would do was essentially have Archaon look at what Be'lakor did when he destabilized the realms, and there's like that big black chaos cloud that's spreading around. And he looks at that and he goes, I could do better than that. And so he does a similar thing. The whole crux of the season is stopping Archaon. And I'm going to say they partially do, partially don't, because Archaon chain detonates a bunch of realm gates, and just as if you could pull a string, and if you've ever sewn something, you sew it all up and you pull the string and it comes together. What if the realm gates were that? So he detonates it, it's like a string being pulled, and all of the realms that are floating in the void separately start getting pulled together as all of the things that bind their realm gates together are coming together. And the realms start like bleeding into one another very aggressively. Because then Age of Sigmar could reasonably go back to its incredibly ridiculous fantasy stuff in the beginning that I love. I know not everybody's into it. But you could have those settings of like stability and then also just craziness. You could create all kinds of interesting places where the realms meet up. And of course it's destabilized, so you still got incarnates going wild, that kind of thing. That's what I would want. So he doesn't destroy the realms, he doesn't nuke them, but he messes them up. 100% agreed. Not to talk too heavily about leaks, but the lore around the new Legion of the First Prince. Oh, I don't even look at them at the leaks anymore. So if there's some cool tidbits that are pointing that direction, that would be wonderful. But yes, to me, it would solve a few things. One, it puts Chaos back on top. Okay. Which is cool, because Chaos should be the ultimate enemy. It's kind of how everything started. It's at the beginning of every single Age of Sigmar book. But also, I think it has the benefit of both making the world more dynamic by bringing these crazy different environments closer together, while like amping up how factions interact with one another. Like, now that they're all closer, like literally closer, it's cool. Morning champs. Hey, Foo Fighter, what's up? Anyway, that's what I would want. They were like, Doug, we're completely out of ideas, and we need you, a guy we don't actually pay, to come up with something. And be like, I'm ready. Kind of like how every sports fan has that fantasy of like getting called up from the bleachers to be like, we need someone to make this touchdown. You, guy named Roy, who's dreamed about being a football player even though it's never going to happen. This is your moment. This is your Rudy moment, and that's going to be me. That's going to be my Rudy moment, is coming up with the new AOS end times. Okay, we are, in case, didn't mean to put that on his foot. In case anyone's curious, we are building up some Cataphractii Terminators for Horus Heresy. And I am excited about these boys. I love Terminators. Anytime there's a game, like say, I guess Destiny has something similar, but whenever there's a game and there's an option to be like the heavy tank type model, I'm like, yes, I want that. I want that and nothing else. I want to be the big guy. I want to be the guy who doesn't have to think a whole lot and just takes wounds like a champ. Team Fortress 2, always the heavy. Loved it. Or Pyro. I also enjoyed playing Pyro quite a bit. First time catching a morning stream. Hope all is well. Hey, Kevin of Iowa. I am also of Iowa. Where are you at? You don't have to be specific. You can just be like Eastern, whatever. I am in the Eastern Iowa area, right near Iowa City and Cedar Rapids. I will say that saying you are of someplace makes your name sound suitably epic. I am Grum, warlord of blank. He's like, 'tis I, Kevin of Iowa. Like, wow, what's his special power? All the ladies, like, just a whole bunch of like hulking superheroes, and then Kevin. For the realms crashing, I want the Skaven to be the catalyst, then Archaon. That's fine. Sure. Either way. I just know we kind of left things in a weird spot between Archaon and Be'lakor, so I thought it'd be a good thread. But I mean, as long as Chaos is ascendant, I don't really care. If they wanted to keep Archaon as being the main figurehead of Chaos, just have him hire the Skaven to do the actual, whatever that specific final blow is. Sure. Central, right on. I actually am trying to get hooked up with more people who live in the Des Moines area, which is dead central Iowa. Because it's like a 2-hour drive for me, and I would probably only do that for gaming if I had like a day's worth of stuff lined up. Arizona, it's getting hot. Ugh. Yeah, my mom was like, you should move back to Texas. I miss seeing you, honey. And it's like, Texas is like 1:17 at 8 o'clock at night. And you're like, hell no. I just remember when I graduated high school and I moved away to the Midwest for college and I experienced winter. I mean, not for the first time. I was in New Jersey when I was very, very young. So, I mean, I understand snow and stuff like that. But when I moved there and it was just immediately cooler, I was like, oh, I'm never going back to Texas. This is a foregone conclusion. That's never happening. Is clans... Oh, here we go, wait. My hope is that Corvus Cole gets to be a named Bloodthirster at some point. That would be freaking awesome, dude. Hell yeah. I will give you a 90s wrestling, hell yeah, brother, to that one. Is Clan Pestilence devoted to Nurgle? So will we see more god-specific rats in the future? No, Kevin, they're not actually devoted to Nurgle. They're sort of in a weird interplay between factions. So they are 100% devoted to the Great Horned Rat. Period. The reason that Nurgle shows up on their War Scroll is because they specifically worship an aspect of the Great Horned Rat that focuses on Plague and Pestilence, where Nurgle loves Plague and Pestilence for the betterment of the realms, meaning one thing dies and it gives life to, you know, 1 million micro organisms and that kind of thing. The Clans Pestilence use Pestilence as like a doomsday weapon. Like their weapons are not meant to facilitate more life and abundance, but just kill things and sterilize them. And so there's a crossover, because Nurgle does love disease, but he does not identify the Skaven as children who are on the same page as him. And yes, like Jordan said, they're both just gross. But yeah, it's kind of the core idea. Like, there's overlap, but they don't worship Nurgle. And Maggotkin soldiers will definitely fight along Pestilence, because they can withstand a lot of the putridity of the Blight Kings. But they're not, like, friends. They don't hang out and go to the Piggly Wiggly together. Spring and fall in Texas are actively trying to drown you in phlegm, and in summer, Texas is trying to bake you. Exactly. So to answer that question, Kevin, no, I would not expect to see any devoted Skaven. However, that cannot be said for the Beasts of Chaos. They could, definitely. They actually did historically have models for Khorne Gore and Pestigore, like for Pestilence Gore, that kind of thing. The only one that they've delivered on yet has been Zangor, which were Tzeentch ones, which is cool. I just want more. Is it Kazmin Animations? Good day. How are you? Slangor out as well. Yes, I don't know what I was thinking. Yes, I love that unit. I'm not gonna lie, unabashedly. I am a huge fan of super chonky 3-man units. I wish that became a norm. Hopefully it does. We're seeing it with Slaves to Darkness, right? I mean, the images they put up on a GW preview, so not a leak, they just showed it, was the Myrmidon unit of like 3 big old guys. I think that's what they're called. I love that stuff because I love playing around with unit numbers just as much as base sizes, attack range. Like, I think that makes a unit interesting. Because that footprint of, you know, how many guys can fit in the unit in a given space truly does matter in a game where, like, movement is everything, capturing objectives. Can't tell you how many times at Vault Wars I was able to screen people out from areas because their unit wouldn't fit. Well, if you just have 3 dudes, you know, like Annihilators are nice because they kind of, they're compact, so to speak. In the scheme of all things Stormcast, where typically your units start in groups of 5 on the same size base. So there's some value there. I'm good doing the non-metallic metal on my Lady of Vines. It's difficult. I have never tried non-metallic metals. Is there like a tutorial you're following, or I mean, are you coming up on your own? That'd be cool. See, here's what happens whenever I try to follow a tutorial. I watch halfway through and I go, I got this, and I just start doing it and then screw it up. And then I say, non-metallic metals are awful. That's an example, but I never tried it. But that's basically what happens whenever I try anything else. Trying to do power swords for 40k a while back, and it's just like, no. This is what you would call no fun. I wonder if a Beastman tribe could be convinced or tricked into following the Great Horned Rat. Ooh. You know? I don't have a solid answer, but that is an intriguing premise. I feel like they could really bond if, like, the iconography for that army was just like twisting horns, because the Great Horned Rat has his own twisting horns, and if you look at the artwork in Beasts of Chaos, there's a lot of that same imagery. Of course, it's for like goats and rams and junk, but I mean, I think there's some overlap. I think we can all agree. Followed Squidmar's recipe, but her headdress is very intricate, so it's proving a challenge. Interesting. I'll go check his stuff out. I haven't watched a Squidmar video in a very, very long time. Can't keep up. Started falling behind. Cody Griffin. Oh, thank you so much, buddy. That's awesome. Oh, you made my day. Thank you, thank you. Good to see you as well. Cody, as the benefactor of this particular section of the stream, tell me, what do you want to talk about? Anyone who throws some coin at their YouTuber gets to choose the conversation topic, provided that it's appropriate for all ages. But yeah, thank you. Getting through some termies. I think the real soul crushing part's going to come when I try to do Marines, like basic Marines. I think I'm going to just start with 20-foot Marines with basic weapons like bolters and stuff. And then play a couple games, because we do have a soft slow grow league going around here. In that there's someone who already played Horus Heresy, the first edition, who's going to kind of bring us into the fold for the second edition. But basically I want to play a few games, figure out what I like, what I don't like, and then go yeah, let's see. Florian, I run 3 Troggoth squads with 3 Troggoths each, my Gloomspite army. It is indeed super fun, and they always fight as the entire... Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It just... like, it's like a Bethesda game. It just works. Casman Animations, I'm nearly finished though, so I'll post a little story on my Instagram and link it if you want to see it. I would love to. I'll promote in other channels. I don't know if the YouTube thing will auto shut down the link blocking, but if you're on Instagram and you tag me, let me know when you do. I'll hop over, and because I can share the link, but YouTube is sometimes weird about other people sharing links. So just tag me, let me know when you do. I'll share it in the stream if you'd like to share it. So same goes for anybody. Cody Griffin, driving big truck. How about the new Horus Heresy edition? I am very excited. I find the stratagem system in 40k to be quite cumbersome mentally, in terms of just remembering all the tools that I have available to me. And so I'm very excited about it, because it's a return to, you know, the kind of Warhammer that I played forever ago. It's the old school Warhammer, but modified a bit to be reflective of the forces that are fighting. I'll be honest, I have not spent a ton of time with the rulebook, because been doing a lot of travel, and then we got sick, COVID hit the Greek's house, so all those kinds of things. So I haven't had as much time as I wanted to get a demo before the death fell upon us. Now, thoughts on the game. There's a few things I think need to kind of be broadcast for folks who may or may not be on the fence regarding Heresy. And that is, a standard game is 3,000 points, whereas all the other Games Workshop games are 2,000. Now that seems like oh crap, it's going to make games so long and miserable. But here's the thing about Heresy. It's like savage. All of the weapons are wielded by Marines, and they are killing Marines. And so that's not all is a hyperbole there. There are other forces in the game, but by and large, it's Marine armies. And they shred through each other like warm knives through butter. So 3,000 points sounds like a lot, but it's really just there to make sure that you can bring some cool toys, especially when like a tank starts at 400. That's a lot. That's a big old pill to swallow. Let's see. What else we got? Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Cool. Oh, I didn't realize there was a few extra front bodies. I thought I counted out 5 and 5. Okay. Cool. And this last guy, we'll do that one. As far as thoughts on it, so like I feel like that's a big deal. You gotta address like the size of it all. I think it will have a way more impressive feel when we start getting like campaign books, because to me it is a historical game masked as a fantasy game. Like it's kind of the setting of it, in the sense of the missions are pretty simple. You're trying to recreate something rather than being a straight fight, which I'm all for, but I know not everybody is. Yeah. The stratagem being too cumbersome seems to be a common complaint for 40k. Yeah, I mean, it just front loads a lot of work. So like when I teach people AOS, I love to have games where it's Liberators and a Lord Celestant on foot versus Chaos Warriors and a Chaos Sorcerer. The stats on the units are almost identical. All that's different is the number of models in the given army. One has an access to magic if they want to explore that. The other is more streamlined, as simple as it gets with just melee. There's not really a way to do that for 40k, because if you take away stratagems and army rules like I would do army rules for AOS, things get real dicey. Like even just the nature of having a singular spell on the war scroll of the sorcerer is different than the whatever they're called, war scroll entries for 40k. I don't know. It never quite sat right for me. Let's build our... Ooh. Yeah, let's build our 2 sergeants. Let's do that. Seems to make sense. 69 and 70. Oh. Guess we're still using the other one. So I find the game just doesn't work in that way. And if you're wondering like, well, that's not how you play those games, why should you play AOS with just those things? It's because you need to have a pathway to introduce concepts to new people. Once you're in the game, that matchup of Stormcast versus, just a couple of Chaos Warriors, it's not going to be interesting. But for someone who's just learning what it means to move a model, and I've done several demos like this, it's exceptionally helpful, because you're really just teaching them the phases of the game and how to read a war scroll. But I just feel like that oversimplification of the game doesn't quite translate well when it comes to the 40k side of things. Sorry. Let's see. I think these are going to be my boss man bods. They got strong boss bod energy. They do. Okay. They have a little skull on the dead center, which I didn't notice before, but cool. Who should I reach out to get my Horus Heresy box faster? Sigmar, the Emperor, the Dark Gods. Probably the Dark Gods, I'd imagine. I think they have a much higher quality shipping service. So right now I'm just assembling just the 2 sergeants because they have them nice and set up right here on the one page. So now I need to choose. Got the bodies. Let's start doing arms and junk. So we got 36 and 37. And Cody, I know you were busy. If you ever get a chance to pull over and you have a different question, I know you were kind of under the wire there. Feel free to ask, my friend. 60 and 61. I think there might have been a typo on their sprues. So the instruction manual rather, says pieces 60 and 61. There is no 61. Oh nope, I lied. Other sprue. They just split the difference from here to heaven. Because it would be far too convenient to just have all the shoulder pads in one easy accessible area next to each other, even, you know, as they're supposed to be paired. And now we need a head for the Razor Claw guy going in. I'm going to give him, I like this one the most. Were you talking about me? Oh, always. I mean, that's all I do. This is an AOS lore channel. This is a Cody lore channel. No, I was just going to ask if you wanted to chat about anything else. You're more than welcome to throw it in there. I just know I caught you at a busy interval. See, these are the instructions that I don't care for when it comes to these kinds of things, right? So it tells you, here's the arms you need and the backpack stuff. Cool, got it. Pick a head. Then it gives you these numbers for specific shoulder pads. But then on the exact next thing, it has a different set of numbers. It's because they're alternating plates. Like this is a lower plate, this is a bigger one. But it looks identical picture-wise, and it drives me insane because it makes it like feel like, oh, is there a choice in, you know, shoulder pads or whatever? No, there's not. Much like reality, there is only the illusion of choice. Now we gotta pick one of these little signet suckers to go on his. Jordan, how hard would it be to use a single group of heresy models as different armies to test things out? Oh, easy. Yeah, no. If you have the Horus Heresy box, you immediately can use them as any Marine Corps or whatever. Like their differences from a collecting standpoint are minimal. Everyone gains access to a couple of unique units, mostly heroes. So if you haven't settled, I would just say build whatever you want and then play a few games and you'll get a sense of what the different legions are good at. Because they do have differences. Playing one will feel different from playing another. And that all comes down to what they're called rights of war. It's basically like choosing your allegiance ability. But it makes some troops battle line. Like, for example, I'm doing Sons of Horus, which doesn't really mean much for me rules-wise. But in addition to the units I gain access to, I am taking an army called Pride of the Legion, which is a rite of war that everyone has access to, and it makes Terminators troops, or battle line if you're going with Age of Sigmar terminology, a unit that you need to fulfill the base requirements of an army roster, so I can focus on chunky boys. What legion am I going for? I am going for Sons of Horus. Or the Lunar Wolves. I am re-listening to the Horus Heresy series for the podcast we're doing, The Emperor Protects. And yeah. For the Termies, should I build 1 squad of 10 or 2 squads of 5? I am going to be honest, I don't feel comfortable giving game advice on a game that I have only ever demoed. I think with the rules for how you build them, you should be able to just build 10 and it'll kind of be fine as anything you want it to be. Like, it can either be played as... Sure, you're only supposed to have 1 sergeant, but I can't fathom any opponent unless you're going to a major event caring, you know? Just be like, hey, this second sergeant, that's just Bill. He's just a normal dude. Okay. Okay, there's a little backpack. Heads-up display thing going. Let's see. Now I got this guy who has like a leg kind of forward, so let's pivot that torso just ever so slightly. Sweet. And let's see how these arms go. And we can start putting these arms together here. I went White Scars for 40k, but Imperial Fist for Heresy. Nice. It's good to mix it up. There. I'd love a video about your experience with starting your YouTube channel, why you did it, how, and so forth. Oh, yeah, I could do that. I mean, I feel like it would be very boring. It depends. I know everyone's looking for something different, but for me, I saw that nobody was talking about AOS, which was, you know, at the time it had just come out. There was no points for anything, and I was like, you know what? I think this thing is cool. I cannot imagine that I am the only person. I refuse to believe. And so it just became more of a conversation starter thing than anything else. And at the time, I was actually trying to get or make income as a side hustle to pay for my hobby through blogging. I had quite a blog all about Infinity from Corvus Belli. But then AOS stuff just kind of took off, and at the same time started losing interest in Infinity. It just kind of got too hard for me to keep up with rules-wise. And as far as how, yeah, I mean, I started with my cell phone camera, and you make a video. You try not to hate yourself as you listen to your own voice, and then you just make another one, and then you just make another one, and you just literally do not stop doing that thing. Which doesn't sound like a particularly special recipe for success, but it's where most channels fall. People get tired of not getting the attention from the algorithm gods that they feel that they deserve, and so they give up. Which, you know, I mean, whatever. If you don't want to do it professionally, that's legit. Give me one sec. I gotta look up this model on Games Workshop here. See which direction this little thing on top goes, because I cannot tell. Oh, very helpful, Games Workshop. Thank you, thank you. They don't put that thing on their picture, so... which I'm fine with, because I don't particularly care for it. Alright. Un Terminator. It's like a little gizmo that goes on his top back thing, and it's just not interesting to me. But I'm done driving now. Face me, traitor. Gasmation, love the chill tunes. Oh yes, I have a I pinned it, but I have a Spotify playlist that I always listen to when I'm hobbying. It makes it soothing. So what we're looking at here, we got nothing on that screen for me. 58 and 59. Chris, I had zero interest in Age of Sigmar until I found your channel. Now I'm collecting Gloom Spy kits. Oh, well, thank you. That's like the highest compliment. I appreciate it. I've thought of starting a channel in order to justify my hobby purchases to my wife. Well, that's going to be a hard sell, because that's basically like saying, I'm going to justify spending too much money by spending too much time. You're like, kind of seems like this hole's just getting deeper. I'm not saying it's a bad idea, I'm just saying be prepared for backfire. Let's see, where is this particular type of Power Fist? He's got this really nice one that's just like literally a fist. Oh, here we go. Is that it? $42, here we are. interesting. I thought, no, he doesn't come with a power sword. Okay. Just making stuff up. And let's see, we got another head choice. Let's go. This guy's gonna be a shooting unit leader, so let's pick something a little different. My wife basically passed out when she saw how much my little plastic cost. My wife's awesome. She is very on board with not necessarily the price of it, but understands the price per hour that I spend on it is way the heck better for this than it is for anything like movies or that kind of thing. I get a lot more enjoyment time out of this. Which, I mean, is typically how I try to frame it. Also, pro tip, if you just go out of your way to be interested in stuff that she's interested in, it tends to help. My wife is a writer, and I barely speak English, I feel like. I'm certainly no writer, but just be like, hey babe, tell me about what you got going on in your world. Hades. Hey Doug, did you see the GHB article? I'm pretty fuming, not gonna lie. Let's check it out. Bum, 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 bum. What am I looking for? Oh, veteran infantry takes center stage. Here, we'll take a quick break from what's going on there, and we'll talk about this. Okay. Friendly battle line units that have characteristics of 4 or less do not have mount traits gain the Galatian Veterans keyword. Proving grounds. At the start of each battle round, after the players have determined who will take the first turn, the player who will take the second turn can pick one objective. It becomes the proving ground. Only models in units with the Veterans keyword can contest an objective marked as a proving ground. I like it. And the bonds of battle. This is what you're talking about. When a model with a veterans unit makes an attack with a melee weapon, you can target an enemy unit within half an inch of another model from that veterans unit instead of using a weapon range characteristic for that attack. If you do so, the attacking model must be within half an inch of another model from its own within half an inch. So, for those of you who are following along at home, let's say I'm gonna pick on some conquest models here. Let's say I had a unit of 3 guys and they had a range 1 weapon. Normally, with AOS right now, if I piled in like this, right, say this guy was in contact, this dude in the back would not be able to attack. However, because he's within half an inch of a guy who's within half an inch of the enemy, he gets to attack same as him. So it's a way of magnifying how many attacks you're getting in without changing weapon range or anything like that. Now, before I give my opinion, Hades, you said you're fuming. Why do you think it's a bad thing? I would love to know. Because I am the polar opposite. Then again, I am a Bone Splitters player. That is only straight fire for me. The nerds are revolting. You can say that again. Yes. Yes. Tonight, my wife and I often... She has drama within the worlds of romance writers, and I have drama within the world of nerds. And so we'll oftentimes sit together with a glass of wine at the end of the day and be like, so what's everyone mad about? Because, I mean, I am exactly as ambivalent / positive in real life as I am online. Of just like, is this what I'm mad about? But I understand that it matters in different ways to a lot of different people, and I'm respectful of that. But it was more just like a commentary on like what's your niche, what's on their discussion docket at the moment is more what it's about. It's the internet. Everyone's mad all the time, always. Rank and flank file in fantasy just made more sense to me. First rank fights, second rank if they have spears. Yeah, I mean, with the problem, yeah, you're right. And it's a thing that I do like in Conquest. I actually like rank and flank for that system. I just didn't like all the ways that movements and stuff like that worked with wheels and things. It just felt very unreal. Okay, Hades. I think it's a bad thing because it basically removes a layer of the game. It also makes weapon ranges greater than 3 obsolete. Also means that people are just throwing models around with no real thought. I suppose, to be diplomatic about it, we have a fundamental disagreement on what the purpose of Warhammer is. To me, again, Bone Splitters player, there's a bias here. Throwing models about all willy-nilly is exactly what I do. It is what I go to a tournament expecting to do. Now, there's a few things regarding this. This is, I mean, it is a fundamental game change. I'm not understating that whatsoever. It is a very different game. That being said, I look at my units that have been sidelined within people who play Bone Splitters. It's largely thought that the Moor Boys have been the short end of the stick because they're just not. They're not good. They're not sexy. They are cheap, which is the only thing they have going for them, and they can roll a bucket of dice. But what this does for me in particular is makes Moor Boys very interesting, and I will actually finally play my Drakfoot army as Drakfoot instead of Icebones because I'm excited about it. They gave us the thesis up top. Hey, this GHB is going to be all about infantry. And let me give you a spoiler alert to a video I have going live on Saturday. I think they did that. Whether or not we like it is different, but they did it. Personally, I like it. I understand that there's a lot of people who won't, but I don't know what to say. I didn't like being in the era of the Beast as a Bone Splitter player with only a rogue idol to my name. But we endured. We overcame. And so will you. That's not being dismissive of you, Hades. I don't mean to do that, but I'm just giving you another perspective of someone who was happy about it. Also keep in mind, there's greater context than those rules. I'm just going to say that. It's part of a whole. Let's see. Got some other questions here. One reason I love Conquest. Conquest is freaking awesome. And yes, I did see your message about more Conquest. This week, I'm actually, and I'm allowed to say this, I am in playtesting for the new First Blood system, which is their, it's not really a skirmish system. It's 20 to 30 models. So think of it more like War Machine and Horde size rather than like Necromunda. And right now the system is pretty interesting, but the changes they have coming out and are thinking about, I'm not going to give any more information than that, but it certainly piques my interest. Because it's definitely the level of game that I want to play. So there will be more Conquest content. It's just that most of the Conquest stuff that I'm doing in the background I can't talk about yet. So Lee, I got you. I got you. It also makes Sons of Behemoth and Beastclaw Raiders pretty bad. I feel no sympathy. Because, okay, so here's the thing. I'll go to my top word cam. Let's just have a chat. Because I think this is you're the kind of person I like to talk to because you've said nothing inflammatory, you haven't cussed me out or demeaned anybody, which automatically means you're someone I like to have a conversation with, 80s. So you're right. This rule does not benefit Sons of Behemoth and Beastclaw Raiders at all. In fact, it is only to their detriment. What I would like to posit is that by virtue of those armies being so radically different in their design philosophy and how they approach the game, I am okay with there being winners and losers in a given season. Remember, this is the General's Handbook Season 1 of this year. How many more there will be? I have no idea. They don't tell me these things. I literally get an email. It's like, this is in the mail. Embrace. But I'm okay with that. I was a loser last round because I didn't have access to a lot of monsters. I'm okay with that. It's fine. And it'll change because all of these things are built into a single battle pack of a single season of the General's Handbook. Now, if it was core rules, we would be having a totally different conversation. But I'm fine with it for now. It's a ride we're all on. Everyone gets their turn. And thank you so much. I see your comment. You try not to do that. I really do appreciate that. That's why I love my channel. But in regards to other games, like when I think about comparing AOS to something like, let's say, War Machine Hordes, they had a fantastically tight competitive environment format. The thing that I think, as I think about more and more, worked for them was that there are a set number of types of units that fill very specific roles, and you can account for them in very specific quantities. For example, there's a Warcaster, Heavy Jack, Light Jack, units, and a solo. That's every single type of thing in that game, barring some additions they built on later on, like Gargantuans and stuff. But every single army is designed with those same elements. You have units, you have solos, you have heroes, you have big machines and little machines. Same template, copy paste, changing depending on what the strengths or weaknesses of the faction is. With AOS, though, armies are so fundamentally different. How do you possibly balance a game where 320 plague rats are an army just as much as 4 behemoths are an army? Like, those two design concepts and philosophy are so worlds apart. I struggle to think of a medium that they will both be equally viable in, where there's no favoritism versus one or the other, and still be interesting. That's my opinion. So I'm okay with winners and losers. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I hope that you understand I can only say so much for now, but there are some really interesting solutions out there that are going to be happening, and I think that you will enjoy them. Because it would be silly if they made a book that favored infantry without giving you any tools to deal with infantry. But so that's my thought. I think by virtue of how broad a space in terms of what defines an army in Games Workshop's mind, they are approaching that from a very different perspective. And honestly, that's one of the reasons that War Machine and Hordes was a legitimately good game. Like, for all the grief I gave the owners of it, I don't think the company was run well. Kind of looks like someone crashed that sucker into the ground like I would if I was flying like an F-16. But I do think that the core design of, like, how do we make a game that we can, a miniatures game specifically, that we can take to a competitive level, I think they did far better than anything Games Workshop has been able to put together. I do understand winners and losers, of course, but this is inching us closer to 40k. So I don't play 40k, so I don't understand that reference. If you could explain that one for me. Like, I don't understand the fundamental design problems that 40k is currently experiencing, so I don't follow. I apologize. Warm Hordes was an insanely good competitive game. Yep. You know, I actually just recently found out there's still people who play it locally. Every once in a while, I'm like, you know, man, I could get a Menoth army and go play that on nights, but here, you know, here's the deal. I was not a narrative player when I played War Machine and Hordes. Like, I got into it because I wanted to grind some teeth. And it's fun. Their solution seems to be a battalion that deals more damage to infantry. There's also buffs, large base units with like 3 things like clip. Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yes, and that's why I pointed out my my Moor Boys as my favorite winner, for at least from my faction list, because they are a 32 mil base unit with a 1-inch ranged weapon. It's just more attacks, you know. Pyromancer, what's up? Let's give my everybody a heart attack. Pyromancer, I'm getting into War Machine and Hordes now. Just kidding. I can't even see with a straight face. This poor guy. I drive him down every single road of a new game that I get into. AOS, Warcry, Conquest. I miss throwing Bork at my opponent's caster. Yes. I miss playing as the Minions faction back before they were really ever taken seriously, because it was just think of like if you're 40k savvy at least a little bit, think like Deathwatch, where it's small faction, very elite, and they're just kind of tricksy. Like, they have tools for everything, but they're not like good in the traditional sense. That's kind of where I am at with my minions, because you used to have an ability where you could like, this alligator monster is going to chuck a smaller monster across the board, see if it can stand up. If it stands up, then I'm within 2 inches of their leader and I can smoke them. Backside of stream slowly. Oh, I didn't mean to put you on the spot. They also had the coolest single Wargaming character, the Butcher of Kardov, which, if you're not familiar with the lore of the Butcher of Kardov, he is like an old-timey general for Khador, like the totally not Russian faction, and he's absolutely insane. He has an axe, I believe it's Lola, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, and there's a short story of him at like a fancy gala, and people are all staring at him because he's this big scary monster, and he starts dancing with his wife in his mind, and they're like having this nice little sway and saunter, but in actuality he's butchering everyone around him, because the axe in his mind is his wife. So him dancing with the axe in his brain in reality is him taking the same axe and just like hacking and murdering everybody. It's so stinking. It's just metal, you know. It's the most metal steampunk thing I've ever seen. I'm here for it. Cool, so we got some base termies done. Chronomancer, I love it. I'm gonna copy that. Balance, fun, mind breaking your foe via BS. That's an equation I can get behind. Kevin Avio, are you doing Sons of Horus alone or adding in some allied forces like a Knight or Dark Mechanicum? I might add a Knight. I don't know. I don't have any... It's gonna, you know, really with this project, I want to do a small collection, because that's why I'm going Pride of the Legion. They're all very elite. You have lots of Terminators. They're very expensive points-wise. Focus on that, painting up. I'm going to have more vehicles, but paint them to a very, very high standard. Like, I want a Horus Heresy army that I can show up and be like, haha, take me seriously, men over 40 and twice divorced. I here am the king. You think you know historical gaming? Ho ho! That's a super joke. It's just I went into the Horus Heresy section of Nova 2019, and it was like all guys that I felt like should be my mentor or something. Like, just the age gap. They were all older than me, talking about their kids and stuff, and I was like, I'm sorry. Hades, I'm sorry, I didn't see that you responded. The combat rules are very similar to 40k combat rules, which is fine for that game, but I think that weapon ranges bring an added level of strategy to the game. So I would agree. I think that this is possibly, I'll give you this, an overcorrection to the shooting dominant meta, because all of those rules only affect melee stuff. Right? Let me triple check. Yeah, I mean, the Bonds of Battle is only in the melee, and then the other one... Where's the other one? I don't know, but kind of all over the place right now. Let's see. Let's go into the heads that I need. Let's do the melee squad first. 2. You know, okay. Here's a discussion point for us, friends. Helmeted or unhelmeted heads for Space Marines and Stormcast. They can be separate. Like, you can have one be helmeted, one unhelmeted. But I'm curious of your opinion. Spacecast, Stormcast, and Space Marines. Helmeted, unhelmeted. What do you choose? And why? I choose helmeted because unless it's a hero model, I don't want the color scheme to have any distractions. Like I can do unhelmeted for like the sergeant of a unit to make them pop and stand different. I like when heroes aren't wearing a helmet. I don't care for it when basic guys in a unit are not, because it's like, hey, buddy, you show up to work at McDonald's, you got to put the visor or the hat on. You think you're any different? No. You're out of uniform. Put your helmet on. If the lowliest workers at a fast food restaurant have to suit up all the way, so do you, demigod of Astartes and or lightning representative. Helmets are cool and practical. If you're wearing armor, protect your head too. Helmeted. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. I like unhelmeted if it's if it's a named character. Like, because they are the stage, the focal point. I don't mind that. But if it's just some dude is going to be wearing a helmet. Being able to win a losing battle by killing your opponent's leader by some miracle was what made games like Warmahorde interesting. Cookie Slayer, that's a fantastic way to put it. I did like that, because that, I mean, I mentioned that I did play more of a competitive end of Warmahordes. The assassination run was definitely my jam, because I mean, it's the same thing that I do in AOS, which is I'm going to be extremely aggressive up front, and we will know by turn 2 if I'm going to win or not. If I do, huzzah, beer's on me. If not, huzzah, I'm going to sit down for a bit because this event is taking way too long. I'm going to go grab myself a rum and coke and just kind of vibe. But the assassination run made that possible. Just How can I Rube Goldberg machine this one guy to get 27 inches across the board into your face? And then deliver justice. Hey, some dude, put your hat on. Exactly. Helmets are cool and practical. Also skin. Yeah, the skin... I kind of oscillate back and forth on if I like painting skin or not. Sometimes I love it. Like, I did enjoy painting skin when I was doing the Fire Slayers, which, if you are interested in seeing mine, they use them a lot on Rerolling 1's, the Battle Report channel for AOS. But I don't know. The problem is like that the model range was too samey for me. But I liked painting skin. Like I didn't mind it. It's when you start mixing, you know, I have to like leave this part of the model unpainted and kind of section stuff off because I want to paint skin somewhere later. It just gets to be a hassle. I did not like Warma Hordes. Interesting. Okay. What didn't you like about it? I'm curious. And how much of it was because who you played against versus the actual game? And also, if you don't mind, I'd love to turn this into a discussion video. Maybe I'll do a video that's like Doug's thoughts on Warma Hordes. I would absolutely play it again. Company needs to get its crap together. But, you know, it's 2022, so it is Congress and the Senate and the White House and everybody else. So, you know, all's fair. What are your thoughts on having core units as alternative to Warma Horde leader assassinations? Archive in charge. I don't think I understand the question. What is your thoughts on having core units as an alternative to Warma Horde's leaders? What do you mean by core units? Like if specific units die, then the game ends too? Are you gonna cut out the part where you checked out the GHB article? Oh no, Hades. I mean, like I would do a totally separate video. This is us just hanging. Hey, Captain Miniatures. Sweet. I will go share that. You go grab some aspirin, and depending on where you're at in the world and what time it is, perhaps an alcoholic beverage or coffee. Okay, so like core units in the sense of units that can't be destroyed. I'm okay with it. You know, I have to see how they pan it out because I still want them. I need those units to be meaningful, as I feel Warcasters are. But I don't know. And give me just one hot second here. Ah, no. In case anybody wants to see some really good looking non-metallic metals. By Kazim Animations here. There you go. Thank you so much for sharing that with me. These look awesome. You're a fantastic painter. I don't care what Kevin up from Iowa says. That was a joke. Okay. Choking on how funny I think I am. It's all good. So what, they want you to build these like separately? That sounds so monotonous. Alright. I'm told the new Warcasters game by them is better, with no insta-win. Tried to learn, and the players in my area would simply take tournament lists against my starter list, kick my teeth in on turn 1 or 2, and then leave without not really teaching me anything. See, I feel like that was the fault of Privateer Press, was that they did create, I think, a very good game system. They did not create the community to perpetuate it. By that I mean their amount of options when it came to learning the game, slow grow, different modes of play so that people can play with their toys and actually have an experience rather than getting tabled because someone felt like taking out their aggression on their dad on the tabletop or something like that. I don't know, but all kinds of stuff. Cody, so I've got Fafnir Rain. He's a named character for Horus Heresy. I've got 1,000 points. Should I pick up the big box and that will give me all I need for 3K? Probably close. So I'm doing Sons of Horus, and if you take the Rights of War, Pride of the Legion, it makes your Terminators like a troop choice or a non-compulsory one. I think if you do that, the base Horus Heresy box is roughly 2,000 points. So if you already have 1,000, you jump that on top. I think so. I would double check, but I'm like pretty sure. 30. But yeah, and then you would get the core book as well, all the dice, all the little templates, some whippet sticks to smack somebody. They created a good game with a toxic environment. Yep. Thanks for being some chill background voices. Oh, absolutely. Come back and visit anytime. It's real hard. How do you, I guess the position I think was most important for that company was community manager, and I just don't know. Like, if they kicked in my door right now and were like, Doug, I want you to do this, and like tried to, put some reasonable work into making it happen, I don't even know where I would start. It's hard to like get coffee one, morning at a business meeting and be like, bro, people just don't like you. We gotta work on that first. You're not publicly traded, so you can do things like apologize, say you're gonna change, and explain why. We should start there. That's probably a good one. As opposed to Game Workshop, where like, because everything matters about investors and stuff, they're like, well, we can't show any signs of weakness, so even if we totally botch a release, I say we keep pressing forward like it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. Archive in charge. I forget which war game, but it was Fantasy World War I. There's a rule for the British expeditionary that if all infantry escorts of a tank and mech are killed, a dice roll describes if a tank will be overwhelmed. I have never heard of this game, but it's cool sounding. Any World War I themed or setting game, so even if it's like, magic and horror and Cthulhu, if it has that vibe, I'm there for it. I'm a very, very big history buff. World War I was fascinating to listen about. But I would be interested in hearing about that. That's what I should do. Oh, snap. Okay, guys, I have a plan. They started losing their community when they killed the press ganger program. Exactly, because those were the only people who were trying to get new people in. That they were directly incentivized to get new people into the game. And it's like, what are you thinking? This was the only thing that you had. if you get rid of them, you just have people who have been playing for a long time who are really good trying to get new. And you know what I mean? Like, there's no incentive for new blood. I'm trying to think, right? Here's what I say. I'm going to put together a Kickstarter. Let me buy Privateer Press. We'll raise the funds. We'll buy the game. We'll make it awesome. And I don't even want to change a thing. I just want to add stuff. I just want to add new formats for, like, they have such a cool setting. I love the setting of War Mahords, guys. I really do. It's just playing the game is just rough. Or I shouldn't say playing. Getting into the game is rough. I'm a World War II buff. Nice! Super Muffin, hey Doug, just want to drop by and let you know that you rock. Oh, thank you. You've inspired me for years now. Can't wait to see what you do next. Love from a huge Swedish fan. Oh, thank you so much, buddy. That means the world to me. It really does. Imagine owning the Monster Apocalypse IP2. See, I never got into Monster Apocalypse. It totally missed me, and then when Privateer Press grabbed it, or however they came to start making the later stuff for it, I was already out by then, so I was like, meh. But I've heard good things. I definitely like watching, I watched a few demos for it. It seems interesting, like, that you and your opponent go back and forth and build the table together. Like, oh, that is what I would call a neat concept. Iron King. Oh yes, I know Iron Kingdoms. Yeah. I'm not much of a role-playing game guy, although I'm gonna be trying my hand at Soulbound here in a bit, or running Soulbound. So I am looking forward to it. It's just, I think that's going to be definitely more my speed. Okay. Kazim animations. For me, the models of War Master are a total turnoff. I 100% agree. They don't aesthetically do anything for me. The resin metal mix in most of them personally don't feel like they would be fun to paint. Also, they are kind of pricey for the quality. I have not checked them out price-wise. Hades. Hey Doug, since you like me so much, when are you going to cover more Illumineth Realm Lords lore? I have a couple stories I think you'd really love. When you say have a couple stories, you mean ones that you've written, or do you mean ones that, like, are from the Battle Tome that you think that I would find interesting? Big gap there. One's in the tomb. Oh yeah. Drop if you have your Battle Tome with you, if you drop the name of the short stories or whatever. I mean, I'm not going to promise you that I'll do them all immediately, but I'm always looking for stories that folks are interested in. War Master, no, sorry, Lee. No, I think it's Warcaster or something like that. Basically, the newest Privateer Press game, whatever it's called, that came out. I was following the conversation. I totally forgot that War Master was a game. That's okay. So did GW. Heyo. Still hate Teclis for killing Ulrich. Well, you know, I don't want to make any unhelpful observations, but it doesn't seem like he was terribly along for that world anyway. Seeing as how the world ended. And that is me being a snarky friend. Have you seen the GHB changes? Bone Splitters stonks. Yes, we were talking about that earlier. We were addressing some... I'm not going to say nerd rage. I'm going to say dork laments about the changes. There's, you know, we'll see how it all pans out. It's one of those things. Nothing survives contact with oxygen, so we'll see how it goes. Oh, I'm sorry, Cody. So is Infinity still going? I've got a few factions. Yes, it's still going. They actually released a format called Code 1. Is that what it is? Red 1, something like that, where it's like a slightly lighter rule set. But I feel like they didn't introduce it right to their community. And here's what I mean. When Kill Team came out, and I'm talking, let's go through all the different versions of Kill Team, okay? They pitched it as 40k in 40 minutes. If you want to get that little hit of what this universe feels like, that's the pitch, okay? And I'm here for it. We can talk about the evolution of the rules of Kill Team, how it used to just be literally a smaller version of 40k to now it's its own game system. You can debate all of that, but getting the feel of a 4-hour-long war game that is 40k in a short amount of time is the sales pitch. With Infinity, they already have a skirmish game that takes 3 hours to play. So their sales pitch was like, and if that's too much for you, here's some training wheels. And that is a different vibe. Like, that's like, I don't know. It's like asking people, like, you seem to be having a hard time. You know, go sit in the corner. I don't know. It just feels like the whole thing just felt like, is Infinity too much? Play less of it. And it wasn't its own game system. It wasn't meant to capture the essence of full Infinity quickly. It was like, here's just a poor man's version of it. You're like, well, that's not what I want to play. If I'm going to play Infinity, I want to play Infinity. They couldn't, like, I feel like they would have been much better off if they had made a separate version that was like, you know, I don't know, call it mission focused, and it's just very, very small, tight games with like 4 or 5 models doing some basic actions to shut off a computer or something like that, where it's just very tight missions, because they would have a distinct vibe as opposed to the full table of terrain, stuff like that. And it would be a different sales pitch, or at least motivator to buy into it, other than, do you think our games are hard? Play less of them. It's the same rules, copy-pasted, but we copy and pasted less rules. So, you know, you should be happy. It's like, it just didn't grab me. And I had briefly considered getting into it again, but my main game buddy around here... well, that's not true. One of the people I play games with around here, not my main one. He was super big into Infinity at one point, and then just had a really crappy experience with the community, so he's not super interested in it anymore, which is fine. But at the same time, it also means I'm not going to buy into a game that, like, or get further into a game that I don't have anyone to play with. I switch these? Got them backwards. Glad I thought to check. Infinity is cool looking, but not a fun game in my opinion. If you're curious, it's basically XCOM, right? It's XCOM, the miniatures game. There's some really cool concepts, some sci-fi ideas that I like in there. But it is that very deep tactical, I don't know. It's another one, not like War Machine and Hordes where it's competitive to a fault, like people can't learn the game. It just seems like the corpus of knowledge to actually play it is massive. Like, it's not enough to take, in AOS I could be like, oh, that guy, he's a stealthy guy. He can do XYZ. Okay. Understood. When it comes to Infinity, it's like, he has Camouflage 9, which means he doesn't exist in bushes and sticks, and sometimes he appears holographically projected as a bush, so he can blend in with this terrain but not this other terrain. You're like, what the hell are we doing here? Does the guy have camo or not? So Doug, your 3,000 pro-pointed Trader Sons versus my pro-painted Imperial Fists when? Cody, where are you located at in the country? I feel like I probably asked you before. I apologize. Infinity equals too many special rules. Agreed. It's a delicate balance. Like one of the things I always praise Necromunda for, and that I really like about it, is there can be a lot of rules for Necromunda. Absolutely, I'm not arguing that. But the amount of time that you spend researching rules to the amount of time you spend laughing about what is happening on the table because it's pure anarchy, I think is fantastic in Necromunda. And that's something I feel like it skews too much into the simulation side of things when it comes to Infinity. There's a whole lot of thinky and not a whole lot of just shoot the guy with the goddamn laser gun you got strapped to your hip. We're overthinking this, guys. Turns out, nerds just want to shoot things with lasers. That's it. That's not even my thesis. That's the whole essay. These little arm bits just don't want to sit in there. Infinity doesn't have Space Catholics. Why even play? Chronomancer, they absolutely do. They have an entire religious order of Pan-Oceania. Cue the more you know, they'll start shooting across the sky. As a nerd can confirm. Exactly, yeah. It's like the guys who make Oreos, right? Oreos haven't changed in like 70 years, and yet every single day there's a new flavor of Oreo. It's like, you are overthinking this. Just stop and just make Oreos. California. Oh god. Yeah, that might require a visit from me, to me rather. Hades, I see your comment there. I got it saved, buddy. Infinity has sexy nuns. What's more to love? Let's see. Some of the models are a bit sus. Look at the Kuman portraits. Yeah. The one thing I do love about Infinity, though, is that they can have bikers in a skirmish game, but they have this rule set called Impetuous, which means they literally just have to run the bike forward, so it's both a benefit and a hindrance. It's just like, there are going to be some times in the game where you're like, I don't want to just peel out of here, but you can't not. Oh, it's so cool. I know it's it's largely considered the worst thing in pretty much any war game, almost unanimously, is losing control of your models. Like, in Age of Sigmar, a common one you might see is if this unit is within 12 inches of an enemy, it has to charge them, kind of a thing. So like, you as the player lose agency over. And I just gotta say, I love that stuff. I eat that up. Because I was already planning to charge everything in 12 inches anyway. Win-win. We're making money on top of money. Woo-hoo. We got one unit of Termies done. Ooh. Okay, let's get all the arms and crap ready for the next set. I think once I get this second 5-man unit done, I think I'll call it. But we're good right now. We're doing good. I'm having a great conversation with y'all. I really do appreciate you hanging out with me today. Cookie Slayer, well, meeting time. Have to join the live stream more often. Very chill vibes and great gaming conversations. Oh, I hope so. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That is what I am here for. It's hard to express to people, like, how do you convey to someone, hey, listen, I like Warhammer, but more than that, I like lo-fi and just chillin'. When I was in Seattle, oftentimes some weed was involved. How do you articulate that when you're trying to invite people into like hanging out with you without sounding creepy? Because like every time I'm on Twitter, and there's a lot of amazing female painters and members of LGBT communities and all these kinds of things where it's like, I understand that from their perspective, I am just some nerd commenting to come hang out. And that could be very creepy because we live in a day and age where creepy people in nerd hobbies are just kind of the norm, and it's sad. But how do I be like, no, listen, I'm not creepy. I'm just chill. And I would like to share my chill. All that to say, it's very difficult. It's weirdly difficult. I don't like it. It's just a vibe, I think. Yeah, probably. Maybe that's the secret. Don't try to invite people. Just keep vibing, and people come along for the ride. They do. I mean, you're not creepy. Well, thank you very much. I do appreciate it. There's a few hobby accounts that I follow on. Mostly Instagram is where I follow hobby stuff. And then Twitter for conversations. It's a little bit easier of a platform for back and forth dialogue, so. But you know what I mean, though, of just like there are enough creepy people in the hobby space where it's like, hey, I totally understand why the fortress walls are up. Unrelated, I'm hanging out in hobby and you want to come? And it doesn't sound very sincere, but it totally is. Give him a hit of buttery American and oh my gosh, my voice. I feel like if I did a specific stream trying to draw folks in the UK, it would just end up with me just all the words that we pronounce, I'm going to say incorrectly, like herb, as if it doesn't have an H, staring at you judging. Doug's trying this bold new ASMR thing where he just says aluminum over and over again. Professor Raccoon, AOS is the best internet. It's a shame there aren't more AOS lore channels. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. You know, to that point of there not being more AOS channels, I had someone message me recently, and I think they were just having a bad time in life. That's how I'm going to chalk that up. But basically, I was accused of dominating the space and killing competition so that nobody else could get an AOS lore channel. It's like, I don't mention other channels on mine. I don't even have a defense because I don't understand. You know how I slip money every month into Google's pocket to make sure that all my videos come at the top. It's like, no, I just spent 5 years doing this. Be amazed. Always recommend your Conquest lore videos to people ask me what the factions are like. Thank you so much, Lee. I promise I am going to lean heavily into more Conquest stuff soon. It's taking up a lot of my mental processing power right now because playtest stuff, but that'll translate into content here pretty soon. 100% know what you mean. I always go to a tournament expecting to be the only woman and get saddened when I'm right, but it's a lot better. Yeah. Totes. Yeah, I took my very lovely and eternally patient wife Jess to Nova 2019, and she did have fun, and everyone was so nice to her. I want to throw that out there up front, but she was like, yeah, walking around, it was weird. She had never been in a position or gone to a function of that size where the discrepancy between men and women was so clear. Like, so I went with my wife to one of her things, which she is a romance writer, and so it was a thing in Gettysburg. So here's me, big chungus Doug. I am a very large man, 6'3", overweight, broad shoulders. Even if I lost weight, I'd be a big guy. So I'm walking around and I'm realizing, I'm like, there are more men here than there were women at the 5,000, event, whatever, at Nova. I was just like, this is ridiculous. I was surprised to learn that more men like romance novels than I expected, and I'll be danged if there's not more women who like laser guns and monsters. This must stop. Admittedly, though, a lot of the guys at her thing were like models that were on the cover of books, all just big shirtless dudes. But still, good folk. YouTube hatred for AOS is more apparent than lore monopoly. I like how Major Kill always says, good day, guys and gal. Like single gal. I do like that. That's fun. I went to the AOS LGT, and out of 136 players, I was the only girl. Whoa. Well, I mean, I guess the good news is that you're going to be in every single picture, seeing how they're going to try and promote, you know, diversity and stuff. That's really cynical. I'm so sorry. That's so cynical. I just don't like PR. I don't like when people just trying to attend an event are used as PR. How about that? Like, I've seen it. I was playing at a game store called Mox up in Seattle, right? And we had a small AOS group, and we had I think at one point 2 women. One, she played a Khorne army very regularly, and the other was just demoing. I was giving her a demo, and you could kind of see like the staff of the store hovering and taking pictures, focusing more, and not because like they're supermodels, but because they wanted the image of it's inclusive to men and women, which I'm 100% for, but also simultaneously that means that you finally got one woman in the door and you're like paparazzi attacking her, and that's probably not going to help. Is there, let's see, hey, is there an option, the head swaps, or are they just beakies? I'll have to check. I don't have those sprues in front of me. I'm just building the Cataphractii Terminators right now. So, do I have, oh wait, maybe this is them. Hold on a second. There's so many sprues in this thing. I'll answer your question here. Let's see, so we got, this looks like the bits and bobs sprue. Okay, so I got 2 heads with no helmets here. Probably for the leader, I'd imagine. And I'm gonna say, without having gone through every square inch of the sprue, that they are generally beakies. There's one guy here I like where he has no helmet, but he does have the rebreather on his face, so it's sort of like a muzzle than a beak. And there's of course an unhelmeted option for your leader to be the dumbest person in the unit with no protection, but that's about it. They are generally beakies, yes. Going for the Iron Warriors, sweet. I hope that you enjoy them. I've heard a lot of good things about them. I'm all about the hazard stripes. I tried to do an Iron Warriors army at one point. Actually, back when 40k also used this rule set in, what is it, 7th now? Or 7th edition back then. And that's when I had my Iron Warriors. I had a Iron Warriors Chaos Space Marine captain. So, I mean, not captain, just a squad leader. Killed somebody in a challenge of combat and ascended to demonhood right there on the table. Still one of my favorite memories of Warhammer. It's why I do sort of miss challenges, which I know is not everyone's biggest fave, because it does kind of slow down the game a bit, but I also think it's a game about squad level heroes rising to the occasion and punching people. So let's see. All the gun hands are the same, so now we're just grabbing the different arms. Everyone was lovely, and I was glad there was a massive 40k event going into the same hall. Funnily enough, I met my girlfriend there, so yeah, it wasn't all that bad. Oh, sweet. Well, that's rad. Much like Rihanna, you fell in love in a hopeless place. And I'm here for it. Let's see, we got 44. Warhammer tournaments can be a great place to pick up girls if you're a gay goth girl. And who wouldn't be? I'm here for it. I'll make one of these guys point. I'm at 7th edition vehicle rules, especially facings. I did like the facings thing. So this is what, 52. Uh, 54. Just kind of grabbing basic hands at this point. I played in a 40k tournament and I had a squad of 10 tactical marines pinned down and survive 5 turns against an Eldar Wraith Knight. Isn't that rad? And 55. Cody Griffin, Horus Heresy Tournament and Cocktails. Let's go, Doug. Yeah, I would be down for that. I mean, honestly, they were my favorite tables to look at when I was doing the AOS stuff at Nova 2019. I haven't been to a major event with like multiple, you know, like multiple game things going on where you can go. I've been to GTs and stuff, but I really did like checking out both the Middle Earth battle strategy game tables and Horus Heresy were like the best. They were just the best. Let's see. Thanks for checking. Oh, yes, absolutely. Happy to. I got it right here. If I can help, I always do. Thanks for checking. Okay, Kevin Abayo, I've only done one tournament for 40k. I was Demons when they first came out, and the opponent was like a full tank Imperial Guard. That was quick and not fun. Which edition was it? Do you remember? I'm curious now. I'm actually kind of glad that Heresy came out when it did, because every once in a while, so there's this project I have in the back of my head that I would love to do, and that is just trying to paint up and do a lot of weathering effects for vehicles. Because at one point I was like, oh man, I could totally play like a historical game or historical army, but I like the Imperial Guard tanks and stuff like that. I feel like Horus Heresy has enough tanks and vehicles enough for me to satiate that itch, especially if I'm already going out of my way to really lean into the hobby aspect with that stuff. So like a lot of grime effects and wearing and tearing and learning how to do like battle damage on stuff, but like specifically like, you know, what does it look like when a tank takes a melt-a-shot kind of a thing, like a very specific 40k vibe. I just acquired a large group of Easterlings for Middle Earth strategy battle game. Oh. Yeah, that's my thing. Chronomancer, you asked 2-1. I was like, I don't know, man. There was definitely a time when demons were like balls to the wall amazing. So you really, that statement, that story or anecdote is very time dependent. I'm glad somebody else was also confused. Because there have been, in the swath of 40k history, there has been the leaf blower list of just spamming hellhounds as much as possible. Well, not hellhounds, whatever they are. The fire-breathing transport ships for guard that blew people off the table. But then also demons definitely had their day as well. Easterlings are super cool. Agreed. Absolutely agreed. I like how cohesive their range is. A lot of the other ones, it's like, you know, I understand it feels like playing a ragtag crew of heroes, and that's rad. But I do like the uniformity sometimes. Tank Company won, and I think it was around 5th or 6th because I stopped playing for a while before 7th came out. Right on. Yeah, I could see that. That was probably a good time to be a guard player, I'd imagine. Yeah, actually, I have a local buddy, Jeremy, he has some Lord of the Rings stuff, and actually when we first met, we were really discussing starting up a Battle Companies campaign. Like, it's kind of like their version of Path to Glory or Slow Grow type deal, where characters can level up and change and things like that. And then we just got distracted, and now he's all in on Marvel Crisis Protocol, which I have been enjoying the ever-loving heck out of, but it just means I haven't actually bought any Middle-earth stuff yet. I just finished doing Kingpin recently. I'll throw him up there. Yeah, there he is, Chunk Boy. The only Marvel character that I have the body type to cosplay for. And you know what? I'm not mad about it. He's a winner. Not in any particular storyline. Just in life. He's a rich guy. I like him. First tournament of Warhammer, my Space Marines versus 3 Helldrakes. I got melted. Yes. Ye old Helldrake days when he could spit a gout of fire out of his butt and ice half the table. Let's see. I could do the blob. I used to say that, like, man, I got the heart of a Stormcast and the body of a Blight King. I am unstoppable. Okay, wish I could. We recently started picking up Star Wars Legions as well as Marvel, and I've noticed they seem to have different problems with missing pieces. Oh. Don't know anything about that, but yeah, go ahead and contact him. Hell yeah. Cartomancer, again, how good are artillery heavy factions in AOS? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know if you asked that earlier. Didn't see it. Mixed? It depends on how you're defining that, because, like, I would say the Carriage and Overlords are an artillery heavy faction. Lots of big guns, or I should say a few ships with very big guns on them. They struggle because it's all about board presence on objectives and stuff like that. I don't see that changing with the new GHB, if I'm honest. But it's tough because, like, other factions, like Cities of Sigmar, has probably the most artillery pieces, but I wouldn't call it an artillery faction. So that's a kind of a tough tough question to answer there. Wish I could find a place that did Conquest acrylic tokens. I don't think that has News of Conquest has yet to reach the teeming swaths of creators over on Etsy. How about that? I did the Star-Lord model for my dad as a birthday present, just to display, but I really want to paint the Miles Morales. Yes, that is a box. Spider-Gwen is a fantastic looking model. And unrelated, even if you ever have interest playing in the game, those two characters are dope, like in the game. Once you learn how to be really good at movement, like placing and knowing where you need to be for objectives and stuff, Spider-Gwen is fire. Gotta go, meeting for work. See ya. My girlfriend, quote-unquote, pressured me into pondering the Mandalorian model. Oh, for Legions because she loves the... Oh, yes. I hadn't seen that model that they did. I don't really keep up too much with Star Wars Legion anymore. I had a kind of crummy experience at a local group that just kind of put a weird taste in my mouth with the game, so I haven't played it, but I've been doing between Marvel and AOS and Conquest, which are all things that we're trying to build up here locally. Ooh, it's a lot. I want the Clone Wars starter set in the Syndicate box that's coming out because Mandalorian's in Maul. Yeah! I'm here for anything that's Maul related. I'd love to get into Armada myself, but I don't know what the support will be for it moving forward. Yeah, Armada was always... I always wanted to like it. It just was never... I don't know. Well, first of all, when the starter set came out and the sheer price point to buy in, I was like, oh, no. My interest in X-Wing was already cresting at that point, so I'm like, you're asking me to invest what? No. That being said, I do think the scale is so interesting of these big old capital ships, and oh man, I get it. I get the intrigue, you know? I need someone to paint my orcs for me. I've already painted 4 armies to completion. I'm tired. What kind of orcs you got, buddy? I got the 40 Quay orcs, so you're doing orc worklands. love to know. I'm curious, because if it's like Cruel Boys, you're on your own. I can offer tips for other stuff, but... Bad Mood for 40k. I've also got Iron Jaws for AOS. Right on. And last one. Hey Doug, I was wondering with the new GHB, what do you think about bone splitters? I think they are dead sexy now. I think we're going to be splitting bones like never before. For real, I do think that they are in a massively positive way right now. I mean, here's the thing. Rising tide raises all ships. So, like, I do think there are other factions that came out better, but you're asking me if I think my Bone Splitters did good? Oh, yes. Oh, yes, they did good. Are others better? Probably still. They don't have a whole lot of rules, but I do think they got good. I think these are going to be... Come on, come on, come on. For a second I thought the title said I rolled up on Horus smoking what I rolled up. Been watching all your Gits lore videos while building and converting my Troggots. Just finished the bottle one, so my next Trog is going to be a bottle hoarder. Nice! I love it. And thank you, Cody. Yeah, go ahead and post that in our Discord. Two, 4, 5. Oh, I see. They packaged the bases so you could split them easily. 5 Termies, 1 hero. And then, I'm assuming, what? 20 bases? 3, 4, 5... 10... Yep. Okay. I was waiting to see in the rule, like in the game book, like what size base these heroes went on. I'm sure this is awesome sound for you guys. I'm sure you're just loving it. You're like, oh my god, I can't wait to sub to this guy's channel. He does the ASMR that all hobbyists actually crave, which is just moving sprues and scraping plastic. Hey, Albert. Tagged you in the hobby corner from Iron Jaws. Suddenly have the desire to paint more. There you go. Showing off stuff does do that. For me, my motivation to paint is largely dependent on if I've been playing anything lately. Any game that if you can get me to play a game, no matter what the game is, I'll be more excited to paint it. This one guy. His feet are a little awkward. Wargaming ASMR. Yes, exactly. Yep. Yeah, it's just that, the occasional sound of a Null Oil bottle dripping because you knocked it over, and profanity as you realized you already glued down something you can't undo to fix a mistake that you made. So it's just lots of calm and then like, crap, damn it, oh god. And why not? We'll throw Chonkin down on his base. Nice. With that, I got heroes. Oh no, I knocked him off. Of course I did. I got heroes. I got a dread. It's coming together. Now I just got to hammer through a huge tank and 40 dudes, which is going to be soul crushing. All right, friends, I'm going to go ahead and hop off for the day. My throat's getting a little bit hoarse, and I still got some recording to do. So thank you all so much for hanging out with me. I enjoyed our discussion. We had some good talks today, and look forward to doing it next time as well. So thank you. I'll see you next time. Happy wargaming.